This episode is sponsored by Echo. Hear clearly, care confidently.
Learn more at echohealth.com. That's EKO health.com. And use code JSP for $50 off any stethoscope.
Just Some Podcast Media.
The thoughts and opinions on Just Some Podcast are of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of organizations that employ them or they volunteer for. They are also not responsible for spontaneous black holes or nuclear wars that may occur. You have been warned.
Welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Just Some Podcast. This is the live on Facebook version. This is Tom.
Hey, this is Ben. Yeah, Tom, we are back on Facebook Live. It's been 11 months since we have done this, so that's kind of crazy.
That is quite a time since we've been on there. As a matter of fact, it's been so long, I'm still trying to figure out how to see ourselves on Facebook so that I can possibly answer questions and do all that stuff. But what do you know, Ben? I don't know how to operate it. So,
well, here, just a second. I will send you a link. And
oh, well, it probably would help if I could actually see the links. I can read the small writing, but I can't.
There's your link, and then you'll need to go in and push play and then mute it so it doesn't have feedback.
Gotcha.
But then we'll get started. So
then we'll get started, obviously. Well, it's a live show. I'm sure people have figured out by now. Things happen during live shows.
Well, our live shows anyway, yeah.
Correct. Did you send that link through my email?
No, I sent it in Zoom. The Zoom chat.
Oh. Well, look at you. Cheesy, crazy.
Oh, Pantless Jen's already with us. So what's up for faces? Because, you know, we're both rocking the beard now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. How do I get this up to live? Because it's about 30 seconds behind.
It's going to be about 30 seconds behind.
Okay. Yes, we are fur faces now, Mrs. Pantless Jens. I was not for a long time, and it was psychologically traumatizing to me, as a matter of fact, the entire time, not having hair on my face. But it was a small sacrifice to make to keep my job. So
well, that is important. Yeah, I mean that's.
It's amazing what happens and how motivated you get when people say you don't have a job or money if you don't do this, and suddenly you can really broaden your horizon when you get threatened. So,
well, yeah. So, well, Tom, I want to ask you what's been going on other than what we're going to focus on tonight. So, don't talk about that. But let's.
I got to be honest. This has not been my favorite year so far. Had some heart issues. Had to get that checked out. Had some GI issues. Had to get that checked out. Got the worst case of food poisoning I've ever heard of. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then this recent incident. So yeah, it's been a less than pleasant year so far for me.
All that stuff out of your system now.
Yeah, just get it out of the way for the rest of my life. I apparently won't need an injury because I've got them all this year.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's all good.
Yeah. All right, so let's well, Ben, should we actually talk about what's going on?
Well, I mean, we did have a fun, we've been kind of on a hiatus.
We have been. You're right. What's going on with you? What's been going on with this hiatus? Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
We both had some sickness. I ended up with the GI stuff. I ended up in the hospital for a little while. Some early ulcer formation and some good things like that. And then we've had a mutual vacation where we actually went and hung out together for a little while. And we spent a few days in Vegas together, which was cool. And then I got home and subsequently got COVID-19 for the first time in 2.5 years. So, I mean, it finally got me, I guess, shit. What can you? And so that messed up our other vacation I had planned, which was we were going to take my girls on a cruise. And we didn't get to do that because COVID-19. So we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, and then you've had some illnesses and and stuff going on. Correct. So, but we're back. We're recording new episodes on both Just Some Podcast, and we'll continue to monitor. So we'll make sure that we're putting out all the good stuff again.
Okay. Usually I'm up on the tempo on this, but like you said, it's been a while. Yeah, we had several things all happen at once, and it was a de facto forced break for a minute, and then we had vacations lined up and we did all that stuff. So yeah, it's been quite a while since we've done this, but I'm excited to get back into it. Maybe not for this reason, but I am excited to do another episode.
So I kind of hinted around about it, and we talked earlier. First off, I'm going to skip the story that you may have missed because Tom, you're going to be the story.
I am the story.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about other stuff, and then we're going to get into more specifically what happened to you and what's going on from there. So, when I put this out saying, hey, we're going to go live, we're going to talk about an explosive new episode. So we're going to talk some firework injuries, and then we're going to talk about what happened to Tom. Tom actually got to experience, I guess, is experience a good word for that?
That's forced to endure. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could put a firework injury, but yeah, I think you experienced is as good as any.
Yeah, so we're going to delve more into that because we have learned nothing, if nothing else, in the last 3.5 years of Just Some Podcast, that
people love me being hurt.
Funny, and
yeah, people
plays
love
real well on the show. So, we appreciate you continuing to hurt yourself just so that we can talk about it and people can enjoy it.
Oh, well, that's what I'm here for, really. I can't wait to do an episode on gastritis, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually go into talk about some statistics and stuff as far as firework injuries. And Tom, reading through this, first off, let me just say it is crazy detailed, which is a little weird, but they pull it off of like incident reports and stuff that they have gotten. So like when they're talking about the deaths that occurred from firework injuries, mm-hmm. They have very specific information about it, which we'll delve into here in a little bit. And then when they get into like other injuries, it makes me never want to set off fireworks again.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I don't know that I will ever do it again without a steel apron and a welder's mask, but
oh buddy, I know, I'm telling you. So the information that I'm going to pull all the statistics and stuff off of, this was actually published June of 2022, and it's 2021 Fireworks Annual Report. This is from the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission. So this is talking firework-related deaths, emergency department-treated injuries, and enforcement activity during 2021. So in 2021, they had reports of 9 non-occupational fireworks-related deaths during 2021. 6 of these were associated with firework misuse. 1 death was associated with a mortar launch malfunction, and
that
2
would suck. Yeah.
Were associated with unknown circumstances. Fireworks were involved in an estimated 11,500 injuries treated in United States hospital emergency departments during 2021. The estimated rate of emergency department treated injuries is 3.5 per 10,000 people, which is actually a decrease from 2020, which was 4.7 per 100,000 people.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, and you get to be a statistic next year. So,
yeah. I think mine is going to fall under unknown circumstance because no one can explain to me how this worked. So
here's some interesting stuff. I want to get your kind of guess on what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Of the 8,500 estimated firework related injuries that they had information on, how many, or was it more male or female that were injured?
Male.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a given, I think, because men are dumb.
We can be.
So 59% were male, 41% were female. And what age range would you think is most prevalent as far as injuries?
15 to 35.
Close. It was young adults 20 to 24 had the highest estimated rate of emergency department treated firework related injuries. The one that was surprising to me, though, was children 5 to 9 had the second highest estimated rate.
It's like sparkler burns.
That was a big one. I was like, oh man, we let my kids use sparklers. And
yeah, who knew setting a stick of magnesium on fire could end up badly?
Right?
Yeah.
Part of the body most injured, Tom. What would you, and this is 2020
Hands.
Statistics.
Hands.
You want to guess the percentage? I mean, you're right. It is hands.
I'm going to go, let's go 40%.
You were pretty close. 31%.
Okay.
You want to guess what was next?
Face.
Man, you were all right. Yeah. Head, face, and ears were the next one at 21%. Legs were next, 15%. Eyes, 14%. See,
I must have got it by osmosis. So I just knew what the problem was now.
An estimated 32% of emergency department injuries were burns. That was most common to hands and fingers. Contusions and lacerations, accounting for 21% of emergency department injuries, were most common injury to the head, face, and ears. This is another percentage.
Okay.
So the percentage of people who presented to the emergency room, how many would you estimate were treated and released versus how many were treated and either admitted or transferred to another hospital?
Honestly, I'm going to say 95% are treated and released.
It was lower than that. I was kind of surprised. It said approximately 83% were treated and released, and an estimated 15% of patients were treated and transferred to another hospital, or they were admitted to the hospital. So you're going to be in the minority there too, which we're going to get more into that too.
Yes, we are going to get into that.
So here's where we get into talking about, well, first off, since we have people out here.
Yeah, we have some people
listening to us. Have you guys ever been injured by a firework? Let's, we'll get your guys' comments and stuff on that. And if you have, was it serious, not serious? I mean, I'm assuming most of you were not serious if, you're still here and talking about it. So,
well, yeah, if they're typing,
it obviously wasn't the hands and fingers, was it? Yeah. See?
Nah, hands, fingers, eyes. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a second. Ooh.
So here's where I started talking about how this was kind of creepy, Tom. Firework-related deaths in 2021. Again, they had 9 reported non-occupational firework-related deaths, which makes me wonder how many occupational ones they had. But
occupational, does that mean professional firework setters or people that make fireworks, or both?
I'm assuming both. That's my assumption. But
I'm assuming.
So it lists brief descriptions of the incidents, including word taking from incident reports of the 9 deaths. So like in June, a 31-year-old male was fatally injured from a fireworks blast inside his home. The house explosion occurred while the victim was manufacturing firework devices in his basement. It caused a wall of the residence to detach, leaving the second floor in a state of collapse.
Holy cow.
His pregnant wife and 4 children were home during the incident. They all managed to escape with limited injuries. And then after emergency services arrived, they continued to hear explosions. And once they were able to enter safely, they found him on the basement floor.
Holy cow. Yeah, with probably barrel trauma to burst both of his lungs. Good Lord. A blast big enough to knock a wall?
Yeah, the way they listed was
in the basement.
the official cause of death was listed as extensive blast and thermal injuries.
Yeah. So again, with the compression of the blast wave in a concrete room like that, honestly, the shock wave is probably what killed him, not burning.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Wow. I would tell you right now, obviously not a professional fireworks maker. If he's making them in his basement and he's using a charge big enough to detach his house, like,
yeah, I'm sure it was not a
that was not licensed in any way for that.
July 2021, a 23-year-old male was fatally injured while shooting off fireworks. The victim was lighting the device and holding it at an angle above his head. It discharged from the bottom of the tube, striking the victim in the chest and exploding.
Oof,
yeah. In July, a 55-year-old male was critically injured after lighting off fireworks utilizing a quick match fuse. A loud boom was heard before the victim was found lying in the street. The medical examiner reports that the victim experienced significant head injuries, and that was his official cause of death. Another victim was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries and recovered from that blast. And here's one, Tom, that as I read this, you're going to know who it is, which we've talked about this already, I think.
Oh, okay.
In July, a 24-year-old male was fatally injured from an errant fireworks mortar blast. The device tilted slightly and it began firing toward the people nearby. The victim was in a hot tub and attempted to escape with several other people.
Yes.
Taken to the hospital. He was pronounced dead. The cause of death was mistakenly believed to have been from the victim slipping and hitting his head on concrete. However, they later clarified after autopsy, it was determined that chest trauma was his official cause of death.
Yes, that young man was a professional hockey player. So if anybody was like, oh, well, if he'd have been in shape, well, you can't be much more in shape than one of those guys. Unfortunately, I'm assuming it was a very large artillery or mortar shell style firework. And man, again, the concussion and pressure from the blunt force trauma to his chest probably did it. I'm just like, God, dog.
Here's one that I was like, man, this is not good.
Yeah.
34-year-old male, he was fatally injured while lighting commercial grade fireworks in his front yard with his 10-year-old son.
Oh.
A nearby neighbor heard a bang, saw the smoke coming from the ground, did not see the firework launch into the air. And the victim ended up having a fatal head injury. The son was physically unharmed, which was good.
Okay.
And they did make a notation here that the victim did not have proper licensing to handle regulated commercial fireworks.
I am not shocked.
But it makes you wonder how they get
Well, that part, maybe you can order it from a foreign country where, regulation isn't that strong. I don't know that part, but yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you want to put yourself in danger with that level of explosion, but to drag your 10-year-old out there, I don't know. That one seems a little iffy to me. Yeah. But what do I know about safety? So,
well, we're going to learn that here shortly.
Yeah.
So, including the 9 deaths that they described, they have reported 158 firework-related deaths between 2006 and 2021 for an average of about 9.9 deaths per year. So, 21 was kind of average year for the number of people who died, which kind of sucks, man. I mean, if you think about it.
Average year for people that died. Yeah, way to brighten up the room, Ben.
I know how to read a room well, so.
Well, I think I know what the people are here for, Ben.
Oh, I know, but I wanted to give some good statistics because, we're trying to be an educational show too, not just...
Yeah, not just blood and guts. Okay. I wonder if I can get the camera close enough to show it.
Well, if not, we can post a picture.
Yeah, we can do that. That'll probably be better. Post some pictures.
So when I was looking again, this is a breakdown of like the total number of fireworks or injuries per type of firework.
Mm-hmm.
Just firecrackers in general were 1,500 injuries. Rockets, including bottle rockets, were 500. The reloadable, which is like the mortars, was 400. Roman candles, 200. Sparklers, 1,100.
Not shocked.
I'm not shocked, but you think
They're super hot. They're only an arm's length away, and we're giving them to the people that we trust the least with a burning stick of steel and magnesium. You're 3-year-old. Nothing bad can happen with you in this.
I mean, I guess you make a good point, but I mean,
well, it's not the big injury, so people don't think about it. They forget, Sally got burnt on her 5th birthday, one time because of a sparkler, like nobody thinks about that stuff. But honestly, that's probably the most common. Or
so
one of the most
last statistics that I want to cover. So part of what their investigation stuff that they do is they do telephone investigations with just random cases that they pull. My fingers are crossed that you get called in this. I don't know why. I mean, I'm just hoping, that they call you like, so we need to get some information about your injury.
Oh, I hope they do.
Oh, me too. So the different types, and this is just in their telephone investigations. So this was 11 cases, so we're not talking a large amount. 6 were malfunction. So 3 of them were errant flight path. 2 were early detonation. 1 was tip over. And then 5 were misuse or improper preparation.
Okay.
And these I thought were kind of interesting too. I'm not gonna read all of them. I can tell you who's going to be in the errant flight path probably next year. Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking too.
Yeah.
So like, and again, these were phone interviews. So the 15-year-old female victim was sitting with her parents approximately 40 to 50 feet away from a device watching fireworks be shot off. One of the devices shot from the side, landing on the victim's lap. The device then exploded, which lit her shorts on fire. They ripped her pants off. After applying cold compresses, they took her to the hospital. She was admitted to the hospital with 3rd-degree burns from her inner thigh to her intergluteal cleft. She recovered fully after 3 weeks, the only long-term consequence being a large amount of scarring.
Man, yeah, that sucks.
Another errant flight path, a 6-year-old female was with her. And again, this is just people watching fireworks. Like,
yeah,
I know,
yeah, I know.
A 6-year-old female victim was with her family watching another member set off fireworks. After one device was detonated, the victim turned to their mother with a bleeding mouth. They took her in the garage to assess the damage. They couldn't basically tell what was going on, so they took her to the hospital. She was sedated and was given 7 stitches to sew the bottom of her lip back, as well as close a hole in the cheek.
So,
after 1 month with scarring to the face and some difficulties chewing.
Sucks.
Some early detonation ones. And
I think it's time, Ben.
One more.
One more. Come on.
Just because
He's trying to drag this out. Yeah. No.
This is
I know you're being educational, but people want to hear
I know. We're gonna get to it. We are
bad things to people that they know.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 more. You're gonna have to do 2 more. And again, these are the phone interviews, people that they talk to. Again, this is another kid. So a 4-year-old male was outside in a field near their home with his father watching others light fireworks. One of the participants lit a multi-tube device, burned themselves, which caused them to drop the device. The device shot into the crowd. After it was dropped, the firework hit the victim in the left eye and exploded. Due to the nature of the injuries, they were taken via ambulance to a nearby airfield to be airlifted. They were given stitches for the laceration under the eye, as well as bandages for the burns. The victim recovered with no suspected long-term consequences, although the hemorrhaging of the eye is still present.
Yeah.
And then this one, just because of the quote in it, I thought was, I don't know, it made me chuckle a little bit. A 33-year-old female victim was sitting on a lawn chair at a park when she noticed a group standing nearby. She heard a member of the group shout, quote, "Oh man, I kicked it over," unquote. Which, I don't know, it just, I don't know if it was, quote, "Oh man, I kicked it over." That's what it says. The victim then turned around and a firework landed on her lap and exploded. Her dress and underwear caught fire, burned her pretty significantly, had skin grafting surgery, was given staples and attended physical therapy. The victim must now wear compression shorts daily to prevent the scars on her legs from chafing. The victim also mentioned that they experienced numbness in the area, and doctors believe it could take up to 2 years to be fully healed. So, just
terrible.
As providers, we do take care of Did you have any firework injuries?
Do what?
As in, like, did you take care of any like this year?
Actually, no. I haven't been in the office since July 4th, so no, I haven't taken care of any firework injuries.
Touche.
Not on other people.
I have not either. I mean, I don't think of it. I mean, most of them I think are probably going to go to the ER more than they're going to probably come to the office.
I'm assuming minor burns is what I would see the majority of.
Probably post. Okay, so I want to do two things, and then we're going to get into your story. And I'm just going to keep dragging it out for everybody.
That's
First off, we're not going to do full commercials. We'll do that whenever we do the recording for this episode. But I do want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors that help keep our podcast on the airwaves and let us do this, what we continue to do without charging people extra money or anything crazy like that. So huge shout out to Echo Health, and their digital stethoscope is amazing. And then a huge shout out to CBD Stat as well. We really appreciate you guys continuing to sponsor us and helping us out, get the good information out to people.
Yeah, both products, for everyone listening or everybody that may end up watching this, I'm currently using the CBD Stat products right now, and they're helping out a lot. And the Echo Health stethoscope is just fantastic. So I can't wait to use it again when I go back to work.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Tom, how are you liking that Echo Core digital stethoscope, man?
Ben, I actually found a way to appreciate it more, and that's I forgot it. I forgot it for a day, and I had to use a regular stethoscope, which again was a fine stethoscope. There is nothing against it. However, after using the Echo 3M Littmann Digital Core stethoscope, let me tell you, anything else is just hard to listen through. At least it was for me. So if there's anything that made me love my stethoscope even more, Ben, it was not having it for a day.
Yeah, I have a student that is in our clinic currently, an MA student, and she's seen my stethoscope and it's like, are those really worth the money? And I said, well, here, listen to the heartbeat with it off, and then I flip the button on and you get that awe face, and it's like, yeah, that's really what it's like. So
that is fantastic, Ben, because I love seeing that look on people's face when they click that switch and then they put that stethoscope to someone's chest and you see them listening. You're like, yeah, now you hear. Like, I thought I heard before, but now I know.
Yeah, 40-time amplification, noise cancellation, Bluetooth to your app. It's a great piece of equipment. If you want to find out more, go to echohealth.com. It's ekohealth.com. Use code JSP. It gives you $50 off your order and lets them know that we sent you.
Ben, how's your knee feeling?
Not too bad currently. With having COVID currently, both of my knees are a little sore. That's actually one of the symptoms that I had that made me go get tested. But I've been using my CBD Stat, and it's been helping quite a bit. At least with that part.
We just got off vacation and our families traveled together. We did a lot of walking on that vacation. And I got to tell you, the CBD Stat products that I used really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, no, we were averaging, I think, 5-6 miles a day. I think we were walking when we were on vacation. And it was a lot on the knees, but CBD Stat was working great, man. It's a high potency product. It's THC free, and it's good stuff.
So if you're out there and you're suffering from minor aches and pains, joint stiffness, anything like that, and you're thinking, boy, I wish there was something that was better for me that I could take, that I knew was healthy and was going to treat me well, CBD Stat products are it.
Yeah, so if you are in healthcare, they're giving you a permanent 40% discount. It's permanent 40% off. You go to cbdstat.care/healthcare. You fill out that little form, and they're going to give you 40% off just because you're in healthcare. But they know that not all our listeners are in healthcare, and so they want to help you out too. So if you go to cbdstat.care, you put everything in your cart that you want. When you get to checkout, Tom, what code do they use?
They use JSP20.
Use JSP20. That's going to give you 20% off your order just because you're listening to our voice right now. Check them out, cbdstat.care. Secondly, Tom, I want to know we both worked ER. You have a firework injury story, I'm sure.
But like right off the bat, I can't think of anything. I don't have anything that like immediately jumps to mind.
Okay. Well, I have one.
Okay.
Was working ER. And this guy came walking in kind of as if he was riding a horse, so he's kind of very bow-legged.
Okay.
And he's like, I had a firework go off between my legs. And we're like, okay, that's bad. So we get him in, we're assessing, and he's got some minor, not anything really super significant, but he got quite a bit of burning on his groin area and inner thighs. And his friends show up a little bit later to check on him. And they say, well, did he tell you what happened? Well, he said that a firework went off in his leg. Well, it's not exactly what happened. He had a mortar shell, like the tube for the mortar shell and with a mortar in it. And he was kind of dancing around with it in a phallic type nature as it was lit. Well, most mortar shells use the ground for their lift to get up into the air. So this one blew backwards.
Yeah.
And luckily, I think it missed enough vital parts to, cause any major damage, luckily. But his friends are like, we have a video of what happened. Do you want to see it? Yes, I believe we're going to need to see that for medical purposes.
Yes. Documentation reasons.
After we watched it about 5 times for medical purposes, then we were able to better ascertain what had happened. But yeah, he was basically dancing around with it in
funk. Yeah.
So that's my good firework injury story.
Yeah. So I guess I have a good firework injury story, but as we've alluded to several times, it's me. So
yeah. So let's get into it, Tom. So let's get into the blood and guts, the gore. What happened?
Yeah. So 10 p.m. This July 4th, I was actually sitting on the ground and literally was in the process of standing up to tell my wife that I was heading inside, that I was tired and I had to work the next day. And the irony of going inside, getting you injured because and honestly, I wish I could tell you the exact chain of events. And I don't know that this is 100% accurate because your brain does kind of, rewire itself in trauma. But the way I remember it is I heard a bang as I was like looking over to see where the kids were anyways. And like I said, they've been setting off fireworks. So hearing bangs wasn't a big deal until whack. So whatever it was a projectile from not an artillery shell. Like it didn't do just one large firework, but it's one of those littler tubes that they shoot off in the air, and then like 5 or 6 little projectiles come out of it and they crackle and whatever. In this particular one, they make like a whizzing sound and they spiraled. Well, apparently one of them went up about 3 feet in the air and then, just shot straight over and caught me to direct impact left eyeball. So it was not fun at all. I didn't scream. There wasn't any of that. But it was instantaneous. I stood back up and I told my wife we needed to go to the ER. Like I knew right then it had hit directly in my eyeball.
And you did have your contacts in.
I did have my contacts in. And so of course there's a bunch of kids outside and now they're all screaming and panicking. So that was super fun. So I have my hand over my left eye because I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what was going on. So I put my hand over my left eye and I told all the kids, they were including my son who was outside, who also got to see it. I said, hey, everybody go to so-and-so's house. I knew the parents were home. I said, stay there. We have to go to the ER. I told my wife again, please, get your stuff. We need to go. So we're talking like 15 seconds maybe. And by that point I had started to blink and I could see like, it was like every blink, my vision just kept getting darker and darker. And then finally it was just black. Like there was no vision. And, I knew right then that there was a very real chance that I had just lost my left eye. So that was not fun. Went directly to an ER and walked in, the triage girl, and I'm just holding my hand. Like I said, I didn't know what I was going to see, so I just kept my hand on my face. And we walked in. I said, "Yes, ma'am. Caught a firework in the eye." And she's like, "Okay, well, she's kind of," and I pulled my hand down. And that's immediately when she took me into a triage room. I'm like, "Oh, okay. So no more questions." Yeah, no more questions for Tom. She sat me down for like a couple seconds. She did her job. Like, everybody was great at the first ER I went to. But it was a smaller one in the town I live in. And they were magnificent. They got me in and out, and they pretty much immediately said, "We can't handle this. We're sending you up to a trauma center," which was exactly what they should have been doing. So that's great. But, having been an ER nurse, I know there's things I want to hear and things I don't want to hear. And honestly, no, Heather, I'm reading comments in the thing. No, Jennifer, no, Heather. Actually, there was no screaming. There was no cussing. I was trying to be as calm as possible because, well, the bad stuff had already happened. I didn't want more bad stuff to happen, and yelling and screaming doesn't really help not bad stuff happen. So, or let me reverse that. It helps bad stuff happen. So, I get in the ambulance, immediately lights and sirens come on, and I'm like, "Oh, that's
never a good sign."
That's so much better. By the way, my mouth was so dry. Of course, panic and adrenaline, everything had kicked in. My mouth was super dry, and I was like, "Hey, can I have something to drink?" They're like, "No, because of surgery." I was like, "Awesome." So, the only people that had seen my face are all like, "Yeah, you need to go to surgery right now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that makes you feel better. I do remember distinctly, my wife is sitting on the left side of the room, and she's just like nervously, you could see she's shaking, and I felt so bad for her. She's shaking, and she's just sitting there like staring at me like, and trauma is not new to her. She has worked in trauma centers. But when the person you are married to is the trauma patient, apparently it's a different, scenario. So she looks at me, and I had taken my hand down to let the doctor and the PA do their evaluation so we could get the paperwork started so we could get me to the trauma center. And I just turned my head, and it did not hurt. Like the impact site opening my eye, even though I couldn't see anything, I knew my eye was open, but it didn't hurt. So I just turned my head, and I smiled at my wife, who instantly grimaced and had this like horrified look on her face. And I was like, "Oh, I should close my eye and, cover back up." So, covered all that back up, got up to Ohio State University's ER, and they said the same thing. They had the stuff ready to actually remove my eye there in the ER. I'm like, "Awesome. I don't want to hear that either, but thanks." And actually everything went really smoothly. Ophthalmology came down. They did their evaluation. I didn't know you could ultrasound eyeballs, but you can. Yeah. So I had a bunch of tests run, and they came to the accurate conclusion that I was not going to lose my eye, at least not at that time. This is the thing that I found about eye injuries so far is a lot of it is, this is what I think, but I can't tell you. Or I can't tell you 100%. Like, I don't think you're going to lose your eye, but in the next 48 hours, we're going to find out more. I'm like, find out more means I could lose my eye. Thank you. So but
our ophthalmologist in the trauma setting are kind of like the radiologist.
Well, I would tell you the big difference is that the ophthalmologist, if they see something wrong, they're going to try and fix it, and nothing against radiology, but they're always going to be, it's either A or B.
Fair enough. All right.
They gave me the A or B, but she had actually put her hands on me, so I felt a little more confident. But I'll be real honest. Looking back, I had the weirdest sense of peace when I thought I lost my eye. I just accepted it. Like, I knew,
which I can confirm because you were texting me during this time.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I got a couple phone calls, because I was supposed to work the next day. So Ben, my wife, my mother, and I think my office manager were the next people I texted. I was like, "Hey, I won't be in to work. I'm on my way to OSU ER." And that's all I put to her. She apparently tried to text me a couple times and couldn't get a hold of me. So she just decided to call me. And I'm like, she's like, what are, I was like, do you hear the siren? She's like, yeah. She assumed they were outside somewhere. I was like, no, that's the ambulance I'm in.
And
She's like, oh God. Yeah. So I think it struck people that it was a little more serious when they could hear, the sirens on the ambulance. But honestly, the progression of getting better, and like Jason said something about like, why aren't you wearing eye patch? The first little bit I was like, I didn't do anything without something directly over my eye.
Well, before you get into like the progression, can you talk about what they actually diagnosed you with?
Oh yeah. So, eye impact, they determined it did directly hit my eye. So a hyphema, or hyphema, however, I heard, 4 people say it, so, now obviously the ophthalmologist have seen these several times, but honestly, I had multiple ER doctors come into the room because they'd never seen one. And so they were just like, hey, can I see your eye? I'm like, yeah, I can't feel it and I can't see. So I don't care what you do to it, go ahead, poke it. And like I said, at that point in time, I was still under the impression I was going to lose it. So I was like, I don't give a shit what you do to it. Oh, sorry. I don't care what you do with it. It's there. But the very first things to come back, and this is the hard part, and it's hard to explain to people, is so like the very first thing I started to see was light, but it's not like in the movies or TV show where like you see like a flashlight beam. I could literally just see glowing. That's it. There was no distinction. I either saw black or I saw some light. And then over time, the light became a little clearer. And then it was like, I could kind of tell where the light was coming from. Like, I was like, oh, it's to my left. Oh, it's to my right. And then like the next day it would get a little sharper, a little clearer. But even now, it is, of course, I had a big setback 2 days ago. So they brought me in and they retested me and they did a bunch of stuff. They were afraid I was going to, because again, we're still, what I keep being told is that things look good, but we're not out of the woods completely. There's always the chance that there's more extensive damage that they haven't been able to find yet. So I have to keep going back. I have to keep getting tested. I keep doing all this stuff, but everything's been working well so far. So, hey, we're going to count it as good. But the long story short is, even when it's good, it's still not great. And again, it's only been, a week. So I guess, that's a little premature to wish I could see normal. But the biggest difference for me so far, and I know it sounds odd, is when I thought I lost it, I just accepted, okay, it's gone. This is your life now. You are a one-eyed cyclops. Just, get used to it. But when they told me I wasn't going to lose it, of course I was ecstatic. Like, oh, great, I'm not going to lose my eye. But then you start realizing every day is like, oh, is today the day that the ducts in my eye clog and all of a sudden I lose my eye, or I lose vision permanently? Or so I'm like, oh, so now I traded having my eye for the low risk possibility of over the next, 20 years of my life, it could just stop working. So that I was like, man, well, I'll take it. I'm counting my blessings. But it is kind of stressful to like every day be like, oh, if I sneeze, I can create enough pressure in my eye that I'll lose it, or I'll lose my vision or something. I like, God. So I have a very extensive list of, so let's talk about, recovery has been easy. Except, well, it's easy as far as your list demands are, which is don't do anything. Okay. I'm not allowed to do anything. I have to be careful standing up, sitting down. I have to take stool softeners because I can't create any pressure in my abdomen to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I mean, it's all sorts of fun things. I cannot lay down. I'm not allowed to lay down for the next several weeks. So I don't know if you've ever tried to sleep sitting upright, but it's super fun. It is, especially when you're a belly sleeper. Yeah, nothing like sitting upright for a week and a half, trying to get sleep. And the eye drops, which are making my eyes better, some of them I have to put in every 6 hours. So at 3 a.m., I'm waking up to put in eye drops. So it's not been the most favorite experience, but I will say again, I'm counting my blessings. I get to keep it as of now. I get to keep it. Everybody I've dealt with from, and I do want to shout out Ohio State's ophthalmology group, to Ohio State's ER, to Fairfield Medical Center's ER. Everybody has just been fantastic, and they took care of me better than I could have ever have hoped to ask for. So, I mean, honestly, well, I do sleep in the recliner, but again, I'm a stomach sleeper. So one of the people, so for people that aren't going to see this, they're just going to listen to this. Sorry, I'm cutting around. One of the people in the live chat said, well, recliner, which has been, again, a godsend, and that is where I'm sleeping, Jeff. However, again, my whole life, I've pretty much been a stomach sleeper, so it just sucks. Bo, do I have pain or pressure in my eye? Kind of. I don't really have pain. Like right now, even to do the show so that you can see me on camera, I have lights on, and it like strains my eye because my eye is now dilated due to medications and damage. We just found out some more stuff today about some muscles that might be detached or torn in my eye. So my pupil may never go all the way back. So I might be somewhat dilated the rest of my life. So I'm trying to get used to stuff like light interference. It's really difficult. So you wouldn't think a lamp in your room would cause a lot of problems, but for me, it's like if I look anywhere directly near it right now, it's damn near blinding. So those are the types of things that cause some irritation. If I had to put a percentage on what I see out of my left eye right now, maybe close to 50%, but
and didn't you describe it? You described it to me, and I don't know if it's still that way. Kind of like if you open your eyes underwater.
Yeah, and so I will say this: it is. I'm going to describe two different things so that hopefully people listening to this, because I know some of you out there listening are nurses, so I want you to hear this. I would describe it as both blurry and hazy. So here's the difference, though: is to me, blurry is like when I see an object, I still have trouble picking out what an object is. Like, let's say you held up a kitchen knife. Honestly, at a distance, or if it's not relatively close, I would be like, I don't know, it's a stick. My vision isn't sharp enough that I can discern the exact shape of what I'm seeing. So to me, that's blurriness. Now, every day it feels like my blurriness is getting a little sharper. But the haziness, which is like, imagine your eyeball filled with smog. Like that's the underwater, like trying to open my eye underwater thing. And unfortunately what that is that's blood from the hyphema in the interior chamber of my eye. And every time light hits it, it just refracts around like a prism. So until that blood really settles down more, the haziness is just kind of here. So
Now I got it for the blurry background that I have here.
No, that's just how everything looks to me right now. Now I will say this, and this is a little tip for, again, if you're helping somebody that has ever injured their eye. For me, at least, backlighting is significant. And when I say backlight, like I wouldn't take a light and shine it on an object, because the light reflecting off of it, honestly, sometimes is too bright and I still can't see, or my eye can't focus, so I can't see what's going on. But if you show me something like on a TV or a cell phone or a computer or a laptop where the light is being emitted from the surface of what I'm trying to see, as long as it's not too bright, it's actually really helpful to be able to see. So that would be one thing I would definitely tell you. Backlight for people with eye injuries has, like, when you go into the optometrist and they darken the room, they put all the light, and the one thing they tell you, read this chart. When I see it like that, I can actually see a lot better. But if you shine any bright lights now, I can't see anything really. You think it would help, but it actually makes it a lot worse. So now I will say this, Matt just got into our live point and he said, kind of disappointed. You look somewhat normal. So he's not wrong. I do look somewhat normal now. Like I said, you guys are seeing it from a distance, hopefully we're going to post some pictures so you can see.
I'll put some pictures.
A close up of my eye, and see how messed up it looks. But apparently the one thing that kept me positive, actually, the night this all happened, is like I said, I had accepted it and I was okay with it and I was going forwards, but I did not want to see myself. I just knew if I saw a picture of myself, like I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hack it. Like I don't know what I'm going to be able to deal with if I have to see myself all messed up. But apparently it was pretty cool looking with all the scorch marks from the explosion and my eye. And it's hard to tell again from this camera, but there's lots of bruising, especially along my eyelids and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool looking at first. I was really hoping for the traditional pirate style eye patch, but I haven't. They gave me this like clear plastic one so I could see out of it. I'm like, well, I can't see now, but okay, I guess, So,
so you have a question there. Jennifer asked, do you have headaches as a result of eye strain, etc.? Whenever I have any issues with my vision, a headache is pretty constant.
So I have had one headache since then. And honestly, I would tell you it's probably part of the eye strain. However, more significantly has been the impact area. So literally from the bridge of my nose to just about the outside corner of my eye, from my cheekbone to my forehead, this whole area, it just feels like I've been punched really hard in the face. And I know many of you would like to do that, but that's what it feels like. It just feels like I got a good socking, and I would really have anticipated. And I actually talked to the surgeon today about it. I was like, I anticipated that being a lot better by now, and it just isn't. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Maybe that is just my constantly squinting, not squinting that I didn't normally do before. Now my facial muscles are not liking it. I don't know. It's a little. I was punched by a firework, but
that firework took all the fun out of everybody to punch you in the face that it did for us. So
yeah. Yes, the only impact that we have been able to determine was directly to the globe of my eyeball.
You're damn lucky, by the way.
Yeah, for a direct eyeball impact and abrasions and detached muscles and all, to be able to do this so far, I have a globe again,
or a fracture of your face in around the eye is amazing.
Well, and again, they did everything focused on my eye. I've never actually had a face, x-ray or anything. I was like, well, maybe I need to get one, but it's been an odd experience. I am so lucky to have gotten out of it. I was told that there were 4 other injuries similar to mine, and the other 3, 2 of the 3 lost their eye that night. And the third other person was still in the ER right now because they think they're going to lose it because of pressure. So that's one of the things. The pressure in my eye has actually been really well controlled, and that's actually why they let me go, is because I was intact. And even though my vision sucked, there was no detachment, and I responded to medicine. So my pressure was really high in my eyeball, but as soon as they started putting medicine in me, it was coming down. So they determined, I was okay to go home, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not like looking down on that in any way, but it does suck putting a bunch of eye drops in my eye.
Now, I will say, as your best friend, from my perspective, we're hanging out at a family event, watching a professional fireworks show, which had just wrapped up. And I get a text message from you because I had sent you a message earlier and hadn't heard anything back. But I think it was the 4th of July. You were busy. Wasn't a big deal. And it was a smart ass message that I'd sent you originally. And so I get a message that says, on the way to the ER, I think that was all you sent me the first time.
Probably all I had. You got to remember, I'm trying to type with one eye, like bouncing down a road.
Because at that point, I look at my wife and I'm like, I don't know what happened, but we may be driving to Ohio tonight. And I was perfectly content with at 11 o'clock at night, us driving to Ohio. And then you say, no, it was an eye injury and they're transferring me. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, oh my God,
yeah.
Thinking worst case scenario.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it right when I was texting you that.
And you told me, and we talked pretty extensively through text message that night. At some point, I still think you were high on medication. I don't know that they probably didn't give you any pain medicine, but I was like, this dude's got to be high. Like there's some because you're cracking jokes, and at that point, I'm trying to be serious. You're like, no. check out my pirate, you know, and I'm like, oh. So after we determined that you're gonna keep your eye, and I think even at that point ophthalmology had already been in, and this was like 2 a.m.
Well, yeah, they came in, they left, they came back. Somebody else came in and saw me, they left. Yeah, there was a lot of seeing me.
The greatest thing that I felt that I could do at that point to try to help you out was I sent you that John Cena meme of "You can't see me."
Yeah, I liked it.
And you said only if you stand on my left, which was good. So
yeah, go on.
I was gonna say we have kind of busted your balls pretty hard, over the last several weeks. All the guys that kind of in group text and stuff like that, and to the point that when we were playing Xbox, my daughter was standing outside of the room that I play Xbox in, and she's looking at me appalled by the things that I'm saying to her Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
As far as, because I'm just at that point I was writing you pretty hard about stuff, and I'm like, so does this make you a Raiders fan?
I think de facto I should get some Raiders gear.
I mean, I think you should. And then I said something about I'm glad you didn't have to save your eye because I didn't want to change the logo on the podcast, which that one just made her like, I can't believe you said that. But I'm like,
yeah,
that's kind of how guys deal with.
I think so. And like I said, I know some of it probably sounds funny, but honestly, at that point, I had just accepted that I was gonna only have one eye. Like I was actually okay with it. Like I knew there was nothing I could do about it. It's not like I can make myself go back in time. There was no point in dwelling on it. I wasn't mad at the little kid that did it. I'm still not mad. I gave him a hug the next day. The next time I saw him, he was just bawling his eyes out, and I felt so terrible for this little kid. And I gave him a hug. I told him no, he was good. It was an accident. I honestly, I could have dared that kid to shoot me in the face, and he couldn't have done it. Like, there's no, I don't know what the chances of a marble-sized projectile going 40 feet through the air and somehow catching another grape, sized object in the air. Like, I mean, come on. Like, that's just unrealistic.
So how's your son handling? I mean, I know we talked about your wife and
yeah. He's actually good. I think 2 things helped out. One, not freaking out when he saw it, because let me tell you, I heard plenty later on about how freaked out those kids were when they saw me get shot in the face with a firework. Just some pirates. I like that.
Because I mean, there's only one of us that's got one eye.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Just some Ben and a pirate. There you go. But I think him seeing me not freak out right that minute and coming home and telling him I was going to be okay. He's still a little shaken, not shaken, but like he doesn't want to go play with fireworks. I'll tell you that. Like he doesn't want to do any of that stuff. But I also think due to his age, like he just doesn't understand the gravity of, 6 months from now, I might lose it. Like to him, it's like, oh, well, you didn't lose it, so then you're fine.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I'm not trying to play up the whole something bad can happen aspect, but it is purely that's what they keep telling me is we think you're going to be just fine, but tomorrow or 30 years from now, your eye might stop working. I'm like, oh, great. That's that's always a super fun way to live the rest of your life. But I guess I'm going to stick with the, just enjoy it while I got it. I thought I lost it. I didn't. So try and make the best out of having 2 eyes while I have them.
So if and when you shoot fireworks off again, or you're in the proximity of fireworks,
I will have a full welding mask on.
Are you going to have protection on?
Bro, first of all, I just want to make sure it's very clear. I'm the guy that yells at people about being safe around fireworks. And the irony of me getting also, I also want to point it out, much like my shirt, I was wearing yellow Crocs, which I, again, ironically call my safety Crocs because they are like neon yellow Crocs, right? I got them for free for something. And so I was just wearing them outside to watch the kids shoot off some fireworks to go right back inside. And then life changed forever. So
So the chat is lighting up here with lots of fun stuff. So the new title, like you said, Just Some Pirates by Kevin, that was pretty good.
Ben and a Cyclops has a ring to it. I like that one.
Kevin says I'm about to lose a leg. That would be like peg leg and one eye. That'll be great. I mean, I like that. I think that's
It would be piratey.
Yeah. Well, they were kind of honing out on Pollyanna's territory. I don't know if she'd like that very much. Although now you're a much better fit for her show because I mean, what I think.
Arr, I'm coming for a ye booty. Arr. So, yeah, old Bo Shaw there. I got hit in the face with the scooter stick. He is not joking around there, Joe Dirt. You're gonna stand there owning a fireworks stand and tell me. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's yeah, thank you, Kevin. No, it's the same way I think with everybody. Like we're all joking because that's how we deal with it, but it certainly was unpleasant. Let's put it that way. I don't know a better way to put it. It's still unpleasant, and unfortunately for the next weeks to several months, it's going to be unpleasant as I go through the recovery process. And it's one of those things like, man, every time I have a little setback, I don't know if I should be freaking out or if is this normal? Like, to let people know. So several days into this process, I lost my vision again. I woke up and could not see. And I'm like, oh man, like what does this mean? I could see yesterday. I can't see now.
I mean,
do what?
It seems bad.
It seems bad. And it was one of the things that we were worried about is new bleeding in my eye, which I have some, but again, getting evaluated today, they're very confident that it's going to be just good old fashioned bleed, that it's going to heal up just like the last one does. Unfortunately, they found more injuries to my eyes because as the big clot dissolved and broke up and went away, that had initially clouded everything. As stuff goes away, they're now able to see more stuff on my eye. And so they found some lacerations and possible muscle detachments in my eyes. So we don't really know what's next for that. But again, I'm very hopeful and I'm not a hopeful person. I'm not even a glasses half full. There's always is a half full, is a half empty. I'm always the glass is full of piss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even like the half empty part. I'm like, that's still not bad enough. It's worse than half empty, but for the first time ever, I'm trying to stay upbeat and, yeah, the emotional roller coaster. So Jeff in our comments put it's an emotional roller coaster, kind of keeping you in suspense with outcomes. And honestly, that is more tiresome and troubling to me than just accepting that I lost it. Like when it was gone, I was like, okay, it's gone. But now I have to deal with every day. Oh, is it gone today? And do I really think it's going to be that fast? No, I think it'll be one of those, like I have to be, under extra scrutiny for possible glaucoma and all sorts of stuff now for the rest of my life. I think that's likely if something happens down the road, that's what it's going to be. But I don't know. 70. I just don't know. Say that again.
So you're not going to be a pirate until you're 70.
Well, technically I could be a pirate now. I mean, I do have an eye patch, so I'm just not wearing it because I don't need it all the time right now. So, but that's it for me. I don't want to bore the crowd any more than I already have. So if anybody has any other questions and we didn't get to them tonight, please feel free. You can always message me and I'll be happy to answer them either here at, if you have my personal, you can send it to me there or at the Just Some Podcast webpage or Facebook site. And I'll answer questions on there as well too.
That's very good of you, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Cautious optimism. That's right, Jen. That's kind of where we're at with it. So.
Yeah. That's one way of putting it.
It's clear, Tom, that is in your eye patch. That's a lame eye patch. And I agree. I think I had sent him a meme when he was headed to his ophthalmology appointment the first time. And I said, you need to do this because it was a cat that had one eye. And he said, the meme says my cat was feeling self-conscious about his eye. So I helped him out and he put a googly eye over where the cat's eye was. And I'm like, you put that on your eye patch.
That's how I want to go to work.
Is with the googly eye over it. I think that would be amazing.
I'm going to tape over. Oh God. I might do that. I have to go follow it with my primary care tomorrow. I might do that. I might
need to put the googly eye on.
Yeah. I don't know. Something feels wrong, ma'am.
And then just sit in the lobby like completely normal. Like that's, you can't act like anything is abnormal when you're doing that. You're just.
Well, I mean, everything for me is abnormal right now. I'm not allowed to bend over. I'm not allowed to do I have to be careful. I have to have I have a procedure for standing up and sitting down because I can't put pressure. So yeah, everything to me right now is abnormal. It sucks, but let's hear.
Chat, when are you able to go back?
Yeah, so not 100% sure. As of right now, we're shooting for the rest of this week off and then a week of some light days just to see how I handle it.
So sometime between now and retirement.
Yeah, but the problem is as it was with this week was, well, next week I might go to my follow-up and they might go, no, we don't like your pressures, so you need to take some more time off. I don't know. We're hoping the week after this one, so yeah, next week. But sorry, they're all my days are kind of blurring together right now.
Kind of like your vision.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. No bending over. Yes, Jeff. Well, in every sense of that phrase, there is no bending over here.
Anyway, so I have a legit question for you. That just thought you were talking about it earlier when you sneeze.
Yeah.
Which
is terrifying now.
Well, okay. So my question is when we have patients who have abdominal surgery, they tell them to kind of brace if they feel like they're going to sneeze. Do you brace your eye? And
no. So the top two things, and it's a cough or a sneeze, is keep your eye open and keep your mouth open.
Okay.
So you want to equalize as much pressure as possible. So that's why. And I will tell you, after you cough or sneeze like that, and of course you guys can't see it. The few times I've had to clear my throat or cough, I turn my head, but my eyes and mouth are completely open to try and reduce the amount of pressure. I made the mistake of the other day of I felt a sneeze coming on. And I instinctively tried to be like, oh God, you can't sneeze. Sneezing's bad. So I held my breath, trying to stop the sneeze, which is the exact opposite. So then I sneezed with mouth closed, eye closed. And I literally sat on my floor for about 15 seconds in just sheer terror. Oh God, did I just cause my eye to explode? What's going to happen? Am I going to go blind? That's terrifying. I know that sounds dumb, but I was literally terrified for about 15 seconds that I had just caused irreversible trauma to my eye. So that's fun psychological damage I get to deal with now. Also is I know just enough about my eye to be dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people are like, well, aren't you a nurse practitioner? Yeah. And you know what I know about eyeballs is that if something's wrong with them, you send them to someone else. And yeah. So unfortunately, and again, I try and tell everybody this. I try to tell the ER doctors that were talking to me. They're like, oh, you're an ER nurse? I said, I used to be an ER nurse. And so they're talking to me. I'm like, no. When you're the patient, all the stuff goes out the window.
Yeah.
You no longer care about anything, because you're the patient. And so I try to be helpful in ways hold still while they were opening my eyes and poking around and doing stuff that I didn't like, but I knew they needed to do it. So, I put up with that. I didn't bitch about my blood pressure cuff going off, stuff like that. But when they would ask me a question, I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't know what to tell them. And a lot of people have asked me since then, well, why didn't you just say this or tell them what was wrong? I'm like, first of all, I didn't know what was wrong. And second of all, eyeballs and teeth are just specialties I don't deal with. So if it's not pink eye, I'm not really sure what to tell you. So.
Well, on that note, Tom, you ready to wrap this up? And
I am absolutely ready to wrap this up and get out from these lights.
Okay. On that note, keep tuning into our show. We got a bunch of good stuff coming up. Like I said, we're
probably not though.
We're going to be
We're gonna have stuff. I don't know about good stuff.
Oh, it'll be good stuff. It'll be all right.
It'll be stuff.
Okay, it'll be stuff. On that note, from Peg Leg and One Eye, y'all have.
Leg and One Eye. Yes, I love that.
All right, everybody have a great week.
Hey, everybody, stay safe out there and stay away from fireworks on your eyeballs.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, there you go.